Welcome to the She Can Achieve podcast, your destination for women's empowerment. I'm Regina Sloan, your host and life coach. Join us as we dive into inspiring stories and practical advice to help you thrive in every area of your life. I want you to listen with this question in mind, though. How can this be applied to my journey? Every episode is packed with gems if you're looking for them. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Hey there. Oh my goodness, so much has occurred since I've last been here, and I first want to say that I miss talking to you all, and I just really get fed from being here. Today I'm going to talk about some takeaways that I got from my birthday celebration. I'll first tell you kind of a backstory and then tell you what I got from that day. I haven't really prepared for this. I really wanted to be organic, and I wrote down a few things I wanted to make sure that I offer, but who knows what's going to come out of this. So I turned 35 on June 12th and 2024, if you're listening to this in the future. And I have always been the type on my birthday to be very low key. In person, I'm a very high energy person most of the time, and I love to serve and I love to connect. And most would say that I'm an introvert. Extrovert. I'm sorry. I'm not really sure. But that's a podcast for another day. However, when it comes to my birthday, am very different. And I was kind of contemplating that and kind of thinking about why. And I really think it's just no bad or good, no right or wrong. It's that, when I grew up, I didn't have big, gigantic parties and was made over and all those things. So maybe I just got used to that being my birthday. However, I thought a little deeper about it, and honestly, I was thinking about what are my actual thoughts, right? Because if you've been listening to this, then you know that everything we do comes from what we're thinking and believing. And so I like to keep a low-key birthday and not really ruffle any feathers and don't really want to be a burden to people and those kinds of things. And I was thinking, where's that coming from? And so some things that I had realized was that I didn't want to inconvenience, one or the other, people with their time. I didn't want people to feel obligated to come out and celebrate me. And there was a part of me too there was a vulnerability there to decide to invite people into my space and celebrate me on my day. And there was also a piece of fear of rejection of, well, what if people don't show? What if I create this and no one comes? So I had all of these thoughts. And what I've learned through being coached myself and coaching myself is I want to always love my reasons for the things that I do, right? And so I decided, there was a nudge. I was like, man, I just want to do things a little different this year. And then these thoughts, of course, came about, and I decided I was going to get really clear on my reasons, right? And so by doing that, I wrote down what are the reasons that I would not want to do anything special on this 35th birthday of mine, and just kind of low key it. Go to a coffee shop. Of course, my husband and my kids always come through with a little something, but that's it, right? I don't want to do anything different. Thought of my reasons, wrote those down. And then I'm like, well, if I were to do something different, what would it be and what would be my reasons for those? And so that exercise can be very powerful for you. I use it anytime I'm confused on what I should do and if it's the right thing and those kinds of things. It can be very powerful to really write down your choices and your reasons for them. And what you want to do is really love the reasons for the choice that you made. And so one of my coaches also taught me to look at the feelings that were behind, right? Because every thought you have, there's a feeling behind that. And so, for instance, when I was thinking about just playing it safe and doing the same thing I do every year, and that one of those reasons where I didn't want to inconvenience anyone, or another was, what if people don't show, right? Those created negative emotion for me. One was rejection. The other probably was around, feeling small or maybe some uncertainty. And so getting really clear on the feelings behind my choices were so powerful. And it can be very powerful for you when you're working through different choices that you want to make. And so I thought of that. And then when I was thinking though, but I want to do something different. And I decided what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to have a full day where I went about and I experienced new things. I thought of things I wanted to do. I found, I looked up the date, what was happening in my city, and I wanted to experience those. And then I had the idea, let me invite people in, because one thing that I did my 34th year was, oh my goodness, connected. And actually, this exercise really helped me to see just how much I have connected with people in this past year alone. And so I was like, well, I can invite people in. And then the brain just started going. I can invite everybody. I can invite women that I know on social media that I've never met in person. Y'all know we have those social media besties, right? Like we know their kids, we know them, we've never met them in person. Like those people, there's those that I think are interesting and I would love to get to know more, and then there are those who are my friends, like in real life, and we have not made time to connect. And then, new friends, old friends, all of them. And so I got super excited. I was, let's go. We are doing this. And immediately, well, almost immediately, I was, never mind. That's no. And my brain immediately was like, you don't have the time. You don't know enough people. What if it doesn't work out? And like all of these fears around that. And so here I am knowing now very clearly what it is I want to do, but deciding not to do it. I actually had decided not to do it. But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right because I know in order to create more and do more and experience more, I have to be open to doing some scary shit. And since I know that, my brain would not leave me alone. That part of me, that more evolved part that's like, we are growing, girl. It did not leave me alone. And so I got very clear and I'm like, okay, when I did my exercise again of the decisions, now that I know what I want to do it, to not do it, it was very clear that there was fear and rejection and vulnerability, the fear of being vulnerable too, holding me back. Those would be my reasons for not moving forward. What are my reasons for moving forward? And this was so exciting. When I think of my reasons, I don't have it in front of me. I write these things down literally when I do this exercise. But my reasons, just thinking off the top of my head for wanting to do this, was I want to connect more with people. I want to do something different. I want to create different experiences. I want to bring people together so they can see you don't have to be childhood besties in order to connect with someone. Oftentimes, especially if I'm not at a networking event where it's like a normal thing to go up and talk to people you don't know, I always stand out as very odd, like just speaking to people. And I don't do this always. Of course, like my brain gets in the way too, and I get all awkward and all that. But I've learned like you can literally just talk to people like, hey, how are you? And just start a conversation and learn so much from that person. And so I wanted to create a space where other people did that it wasn't only about me. I didn't want that was very true for me. I didn't want to be, quote unquote, the center of the thing, but I love to connect and I love to bring people in to connect also with each other. That's what I'm constantly doing online. Oh, you need this person, I know this person, I can connect you with them. And like, I love doing that. And so I wanted that. I wanted a different experience for my 35th. I feel like a 35 is like, one of those monumental years, right? And I wanted to really be an example of what's possible when you decide to step outside of the fear, the vulnerability, the rejection, those feelings that I was having. And I wanted to push myself. I wanted to push myself to be uncomfortable. I know that I am worth the time of anyone. And I know that in order for me to grow, I need support as well. And I am helping women to learn their value and to learn of what they need and to ask for that and to open their mouth and to be accepting of it as well, right? I need to also walk the walk. It's kind of scary to ask for things, to ask someone of something. I'm more easily a giver than a taker and a receiver. And so I want more of that this year. That's one of the things I'm working on, being vulnerable, being open, allowing people in, asking for help and support and taking it. And so this really fit the bill. And when I thought of those reasons and the emotions that were created from that, like empowered, right? Loved, supported, I really loved those feelings. And so begrudgingly, of course, I decided I was moving forward. So I did the thing. And if you were there, thank you so much for showing up. For those, there were many who wanted to be. It was a Wednesday. I know that was going to decrease the amount of people who can come as well, but I wanted to do it on my birthday and, was ready for whatever would happen. Now, what's interesting though, too, is in order for me to do that, I also worked ahead. I also really addressed those thoughts that I had that weren't true, that weren't serving me. And one of those were, I would be a burden to other people. Right? Or there might be people who come just because they feel like they have to and they don't want to, and I don't want that to happen. When I had to do the work around that, that's not my responsibility. People who come are there to support me, right? Those who come that because they think they need to be, that's none of my business. And so I did some work around that. The other I did work around was, what if nobody came? How would I feel? Now, 5 years ago, my thought would have been, oh, they're not really my friends, or, people never show up for me, those kinds of thoughts. And I got myself to a space where it wasn't even hard either. It was like, I knew that was not true, right? Even if nobody came, I knew that I would have a great time by myself. And I also knew I would make it mean nothing about the people who said they would come and didn't, and the people who I invited that couldn't come. And I love that for myself, to be able to do that. That allowed me to show up and really be open to whatever came about. So I want you to think of everything I just shared. Anything you're doing that's new, it's the same process. It may not look like my specific event for my birthday, but I want you to think if there's something new that you're wanting to go after, you're wanting to try, but you're hesitant. I want you to take some time to get clear on your reasons why you wouldn't do it and why you would. And I want you to really dig into the feelings of each statement. How do you feel? And then I want you to think of which reasons do you want to drive your action. That has been so pivotal for me in making quick decisions for me, for my personal life, for my business, for my parenting, how I operate in the moment of something. I am just so grateful to have learned that. And so that may be helpful for you. So the day itself was amazing. One, because I was guaranteeing it was going to be amazing anyway, but because I really allowed myself to be open and accepting and show up differently, and then also be myself. I started the day at 6:30 in the morning. I did yoga, and we had a great time outside. I think it was called Sunrise Yoga. Later that day, a couple hours later, well, actually, I ended up going to a coffee shop right after and just having an hour to myself, where my grandmother called me, and she always calls me every year, and she sings happy birthday to me. Now, what's so amazing about this year was she called me while I had my computer, and I was able to record it. I thought in past years, she's in her 70s, like, man, one day she will not do this, and I want to be able to catch it. And so this year I was able to, and I'm just so grateful. And so I did that. I went home. On my way home, a good friend called, and she also sang happy birthday to me. So I thought that was really cool, and connected with her for a bit. I got ready for NABO. It's National Association of Women Business Owners. Wherever you're listening from, especially in the U.S., there's probably a chapter there. And there was a Trailblazer event. It was her 19th year. And I had got myself a little pin made that said, "Cool coaches choose growth on their birthday." And I thought that was so cool. Yes, probably a little cheesy, but I loved it. And I wore that there. And it was a networking event. I got to connect with so many women. There were 4 to 5 women that were speaking, and wow, I walked away such a changed person. I learned so much. I wouldn't have chose to be anywhere else at that moment on my birthday. I'm so grateful that I made time for that. And I met so many new people, even my table. And it was cool. It's like, hey, it's my birthday, right? That just automatically makes you stand out. And I allowed myself to be celebrated. I then later had a really small party at home with my husband, my children, and it was the most beautiful thing ever. I got some amazing gifts. I was showered with love. The cake that my husband made was amazing. And I'm going to plug him in here for some extra brownie points. Our oven went out, or so we thought. It ended up being fine later. But he took all the things and he went to my mom's house to make the cake, to make sure it was made and, ensure it. So I just love when, he's such an amazing person that does those extra things. And he knows that I love homemade cakes. I do that for my kids every year. And so I love how he's now kind of showered me with the same thing. So that was really fun, spending time with my husband and my kids. And I love that they were understanding. Like, I literally was only home that amount of time. That was it, a couple hours. My whole day was jam-packed. After that, I went to one of our local coffee shops that's horror themed. So Beetlejuice and Freddy Krueger and Chucky and like all these really cool nostalgic things. It was such a dope coffee shop. It's called the Black House Cafe, I think, out in Fountain Square, a really cool area in our city. And I went there. Some friends met me up there. My cousin actually met me as well. And we just chat. We just all talked. I was the only person that knew everybody. And so that's what I really loved about it. Like, I was the only person that knew these people, but we all were talking like we were best friends. We walked, visited a couple shops, and then right after that, we went to a silent book club, which was walking distance. So some more friends came to that, and we just had our own books, and we read in silent with each other. And I thought that was really cool. It was my first time going to that. This entire day was my first time of events. So it was really fun to experience that. I know people are like, what is a silent book club? But it really is what it's stated. You read in silence amongst each other, and there is a very different energy. Then there was time at the end to kind of, talk and connect with other people as well. Later that night, We then went to one of our upscale cigar lounges, and that was fun. I had my first cigar. It was fun. Definitely would not do that regularly, but what I always love, is to dance and the music, and I connected with so many new women there, and a lot of my girls popped out. Some people I've never even met in person. And throughout this day, what I thought was really cool too is a couple of my clients sprinkled in throughout the day came as well. Like, that was so fun and something I did not expect. So it was a fabulous birthday. Now, I didn't get home till 1 a.m. and I decided ahead of time we were going camping the next 4 days. I would highly never ever suggest doing that again. It was the most exhausting week of my life, but I'm here now. I think that happened. My birthday was a Wednesday. We went camping. And then like that following Wednesday, I just was like, I can't do it. I'm done. I'm resting for the rest of the day. So I am well rested now. So that is my day of events. Some things that I took away from this that I wanted to share with you more specifically is that, one, the scary way is the way. I was thinking about this, and when I decided to do this, I knew that I was scared. I was unsure. It was just seemed like impossible to do. But it was what I needed to do to show myself what's possible, to pivot into this new year as the more evolved self that I know I want to be, that I am being right now. And it stretched me. I really grew from even planning and deciding I was doing this. And then I grew even more from showing up and the conversations that happened. I learned so much from every woman that came. I learned so much from every woman that I met that wasn't even part of the celebration that I had. So the scary way is the way. If you have something that you know you want to try, but you're afraid, I want you to realize that you can be afraid and still do the thing. You could be anxious and still carry out the task. So often when we are addressed with negative emotion, we think that is a message to turn around. No, that is what's going to happen. Anytime you do something new, your brain is it filters all day long looking for any possible thing or threat. Mind you, a threat is anytime something has changed. So even if something serves you, your brain will look at it as a threat. There's a part of you that wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to exert any energy or do anything new or experience any pain. Pain being negative emotion as well. So anytime you are thinking of doing something new, expect that your brain is going to offer you ways that it won't work out, reasons why you should turn around, and why this is not a great idea. And I want you to go back to what I said. What are your reasons to do it? What are your reasons not? Which one do you love? And when you think of which one do you love, if you're stuck on that, think of that part of you that has already solved it, that has already moved past it, that has already elevated. What would she say to do? You know the answer. You're going to have to get very good at experiencing negative emotion and continuing anyway. The next thought I had was fulfillment includes connection. Now, I love alone time. I really, really do. I make sure I get it every week. Really, most days I do. Even with a house full of people. I wake up early. I go to sleep late. Whatever I need to do. I leave to the coffee shop, whatever. But there is something fulfilling about connecting with another human being on any topic. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation. But anytime I have a conversation with someone and I'm really there and curious and present, I leave feeling fulfilled, no matter what we are talking about. Anytime I serve, I feel fulfilled. But connecting is required personally for me to feel fulfilled, and you might find that to be true for you as well. There's something beautiful about being alone and connecting with ourselves, but connecting with other people creates a sense of fulfillment that I'm so glad that I, years ago started to work through, because there was a part of me, a version of me that was very standoffish and very with these clear walls up to make sure I didn't get hurt, to make sure no one knew me well, these kinds of things that all came from experiences before that, at that time that served me until it no longer did. And so I want you to remember that fulfillment may include connection for you, and think about what is one small way you can, include connection in your daily life, and just go for it. It could be the smallest thing. Next, I realized, and I thought about as I contemplated about this, was I am enough. I still get in my head about showing up to new places and spaces, and I have gotten so much better at turning that around, but I don't need to pretend to be anything I'm not. Who I am is what people need. right? Me being myself is easier, and it actually creates a space where other people get to see they can be themselves. It's not about us being the same. We're taught to conform in many different ways, but in order to create change, in order to have a fulfilling life, we must be able to just be ourselves. And I also want to offer here too, if you are in agreement, you're like, yes, that's so true. Your brain's like, okay, let me go find out who myself is. I got to find myself. You already know who you are. Just start being her. In every given moment, you know what you'd rather be doing. You know how you'd rather show up. You know the truth for you. There is no long journey to go and figure this out and journal a million times a day and all of that. All of that has a space and time, right? To journal, to get away, to do deep reflection. But there is no you to go find. Who are you being right now? Right? And whoever that being is enough. And if we slow down and we just connect with ourselves in the moment, we'll know exactly what that is. So me showing up to all these different events, right? And I have a thing about hosting. I'm like, I caught myself even talking about, well, I'm not really hosting. I just coordinated, right? That just seems so heavy. But who am I? I'm just showing up as who I am. I'm not responsible for other people. I'm responsible for myself. I'm not responsible for, their experience. I'm responsible for me, showing up as me, and really connecting with other people as me. That's a service for them. It's in service for me as well. Because if I'm fake or I'm being something I'm not, right? They're not really connecting with the real me, and I'm not really able to connect with the real them because what they're giving out is based on that, right? And so the more you can just remind yourself, I am enough, whatever that looks like. And the enoughness looks different day to day, sometimes minute to minute. But that will help you to show up more in all these different places you want to be in, these things you want to do. A lot of us have so many beautiful goals, and we're allowing our brain to say, oh, you don't know enough. You're not good enough. Who are you to do that? To hold us back. You are enough where you are right now. And you will grow as you get into action. Another, differences create growth. I loved how so many different women came together that were different. They probably would never hang out outside of that. But being in this container, if you will, we were kind of quote unquote forced to connect with other people. And so I love connecting and talking to people who look different than me. It's intimidating. I still have to push myself out there, right? And I still have, the things that I am assuming about other people that I have to check, those kinds of things. But when I connect with someone who's different than me or they look different, I learn something always. One of the things I learned is we're usually more alike than we thought, right? But also, when you connect with and you talk to and you spend time with people who are different than you in whatever kind of capacity, you will learn because you're learning things from a different perspective versus just being in your head with your thoughts, the way you see things, and then hanging with people who see them the same way. And that's why I always talk about there are no universal truths, right? Like what you believe is your truth. And I'm not here to argue you about that, right? We all have our boundaries. We have our morality and things that we're not willing to bend on. Nothing wrong with that. But I would urge you to really open yourself up to connecting with, saying hello to, spending time with people, maybe even on social media, who seem different than you are, to grow and then to also see how much you really are the same. Along with this, one thing I've learned a long time ago, but it really helped me. It's something that came up when I was reflecting on my birthday is we are all experts at something. Somebody you meet, the grocery store, the gym, outside gardening, wherever, social media, in a Facebook group, everyone is really good at something. Everyone really knows something very, very well. And that's why I don't believe there can be any amount of over connecting. I learn so much from everyone in my space if I just take the time to talk to them. They know something. They're really good at something. And I think of this for me, right? To give me what I need in order to show up to spaces and use my voice and take up space. I know that can be difficult for us sometimes, but then also to remind me, I'm no better than the next person. I'm no better and I'm no lesser. We all have our own skills. We all are very good at something. We all know something very well. And you never know that connection you can have with someone, that conversation that can really inspire someone to figure out what they're really good at. Or in conversation, you see what you're really good at. And so next, for me personally, the day really was a testament to how fulfilled I feel when I'm serving. I love to serve in many different capacities. As a coach, yes, that is my most favorite thing to do, to help women see that they already have the answers, to help women start to believe in new things, which that's the prerequisite to start doing new things. You have to first believe that it's possible. First believe that you can think differently about you. You can think differently about the things that you want, about your relationships, whatever it is. I love that so much, and I'm so grateful that I did the work to get myself into this space, because there was so much holding me back at one point. But also, I love to serve in so many ways, and I don't have to be confined to this box of a coach and I just serve in these coaching containers. I'm serving every day in all the conversations that I have in many different ways. And so I want to offer you to think about, like, what is fulfilling to you? What do you really enjoy doing? And how can you do more of that? This was my birthday, and it's so funny. I thought about it afterwards. I decided to coordinate some fun things for us to connect and have a great time together. It wasn't really about let's celebrate me and have a great time for me, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't fulfill me. I love getting people together. That was so fun to see that, to create a fun environment for people to just connect and do something different and be uncomfortable, but still move forward and have really amazing conversations. I would have never discovered that in that way had I not moved past the initial fear that I had. And what's coming up for me now, what really helps me to do that too, is that everything isn't about me. When we are in our heads, I learned this from several different people. I've heard this over and over, and every time I hear it, it helps deepen it. When we are in our heads and about us, and I think of this when I do public speaking. I just taught a workshop this morning. I was all in my head about, and I just reminded myself, Regina, it's not about you. There are women showing up that need what you have to offer. At one point, you needed it, and now you get to pass it on. And so I know many of you, all of you, anyone listening here, I know has something that you want to give, you want to do in the world, whatever that something is. And what it's helped me to really see, what does service look like for me? So I want you to think about that for you. I think as human beings, we naturally love to serve, and it looks different for everyone. What does service look like for you? How can you do more of it? And remind yourself, when fear sets in, when you are out there serving in whatever capacity it is, it's not about you. Sometimes I tell myself there are 100 women looking for me, looking for what I know, looking for what I have mastered, looking for the skills that I have, for the knowledge that I have around emotions and all that. Where are they? How can I serve them? How can I get out of my head worrying about me and my safety, and I don't want to be embarrassed, and what would they think, and they won't like me, and get out of that. And what does it look like to serve? Because I can't be in service and be in my head at the same time. That really serves as a gist of what I got from my birthday. I guess another thing I would throw in is anything is possible. I really thought that it was impossible to do that, and impossible for people to really show up. Impossible for me to plan that, invite people, and really do the damn thing in a few days. And I did. And what's so fun is I didn't talk about it openly on social media at all. I never put the itinerary on there. I chose my way to get people out, and that was to connect with them directly. And it was such a fun, beautiful day, but I grew as a result of it. And I started something for myself, right? Something annually, something fun I can do. We have this one life, and I'm committed to having fun while serving. And I'm also committed to experiencing all that comes with that, the negative emotions, the failures, the disappointments, and continuing moving forward. I am no unicorn. If I can do it, the part of me that used to do everything I could to be safe, right, that never would have done any of this. I know that you can do whatever is on your heart, whatever it is you want to do. So I just want you to think of that. How can I have fun? How can I show up? What do I need to do in order to move past these negative emotions? That's always what holds us back from doing the things we want to do. If you struggle with this, if this is something you are wanting more support on, you have found the girl. I can 100% help you get into action, help you figure out what's holding you back, and create what it is you really want. Sometimes I just want to feel better day to day. I'm always in my head. I'm overthinking. I'm anxious all the time, right? I'm always angry, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's, man, I've been sitting on a dream and I have not moved forward. Whatever it is, whatever's holding you back, I can help you move forward. Reach out to me simply through my email, which is in the show notes, on social media. I make it really simple. And just let me know your availability. We'll set up a free consult and we'll talk about that. Thank you so much for listening. I would love to know your feedback here. I would love to know what you've done on your birthday or what you want to do on future birthdays, right? How can you make your birthday fun? What does that look like for you? Email me, hop on social media, let me know. I would love that. You all have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you next time. Hey girl, thanks for tuning in. If you love this and you want to take this work deeper, definitely reach out to me and let's schedule your free 1-hour consult. We will dive deep into everything you have going on, where you are, where you want to be, and clearly how I can help you get there. Super simple, no obligation, only space for deep transformation. I would love to hear from you. I'll leave my email in the show notes and also links where you can connect with me on social. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.